morning, everyone. It's really a great pleasure to be here. My name is Milena Stoycheva, and I'm the CEO of an organization which is called Junior Achievement. It's part of a major worldwide organization that for a second year has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize because of its impact on providing economic opportunities and empowerment through education for entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and innovation. And it gives me, I have also another role. I am Interim Innovation Director for Transformation with the newly established KIC, Knowledge Innovation Community of the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. So this topic that we will be discussing today is really something that's close to my heart. And it's at the intersection of how we as a society are moving forward in, on the one hand, using technology, but at the same time, empowering human AI, a human eye, to support the development and the expansion of AI. And I would like to start, so today in the discussion, talking about digital transformation and innovation and how it's changing our society. We will be looking from several angles. The first one I would like to explore is to turn to Madlen Balatlian, who is the CEO and General Manager of eSatisfaction, which is an enterprise feedback company. And it's interesting because we often talk about digital transformation from a general point of view, addressing processes, and it struck me with their approach that they're actually looking at the customers. So the customer-centric thinking and approach as one of the pillars of digital transformation is something that they have been working on. So Madlen, would you share what have you've been doing and how digitalization, digital transformation is actually changing the customer experience?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invitation, first of all, in this amazing panel. So, coming from the customer feedback and customer experience field, customer centricity is something that we have at heart. It's something that we're doing like the past 8 years. And I think that taking a step back, what we are trying to do is actually what all businesses want to do and have been trying to do prior to technology advancement. So we're trying to bring the voice of the customers at the front line of the business in order to make sure that the businesses are achieving the end game that they all have, which is increasing revenues. So we're talking about increasing revenues from customers. So how come, this is what I wonder every time, how come we're not talking to the customers about that? All businesses are sitting at tables and they're drafting strategies. This is my favorite part, and they're guessing about how to make customers more happy. So why not use technology to understand exactly what customers feel and what customers want and anticipate from a business in order to win their hearts and tap into their minds and then start.
And what are the exact, expressions of that approach? Where can we see the change?
The change, I think, is basically on the scale. You can use technology to start asking questions and understanding the thoughts of millions or thousands of customers. So, for example, when you are circulating surveys, it's so much easier these days by using AI to understand the context of a customer feedback piece. So, customer has a lot to say. How can you be quick to understand what the context is, the feeling, what they're talking to you about, and more to that, how can you embed this into your day-to-day operations with the usage of technology in order to make these seamless experiences that we all want to in order to win their hearts and power the growth that we all want to. So there's a lot of AI in what we're doing. There's a lot of tech in order to scale things and make businesses grow easier.
So it's supporting also customers in making better maybe decisions about their choices and also predicting some of their behaviors.
Exactly. This is what we want to do, make the customer voice the focal point of decision making. So we're democratizing data, we're democratizing these customer insights. We can be using technology to integrate with every decision making tool that a company can use. So it's easier and it's a day-to-day operation. We're trying to change habits here at the organizational level. So it's not just that we're piling up feedback reports and putting them in the shelves. We're trying to embed this in the day-to-day lives from the frontline people to the top management so that they can do better their work every day using technology.
So now I would like to turn to Paris Kyriacopoulos, who is the CEO and chairman of Motodynamics. And something in our discussion also struck me because you are really focusing on the intersection of, on the one hand, digital transformation, but also innovating with use of digital technology and the customer experience and customer satisfaction. So in a similar way, you're a bigger company, you're a public company, but you are also discovering that the next opportunity in the development and the growth of your business is related to how you put an emphasis on the customer. So can you share your examples of how you are doing this?
Yes, thank you, and it's a pleasure, and all of you, and thank you for all being here. Yes, so exactly. So we, one of our businesses is renting cars, and we listen to the customer. Generally a frustrating experience to rent cars, hopefully not with us, but one thing that came out from every survey is the concept of when you return a car, the damage control is a very frustrating experience. People feel that it's a black box. And we searched for solutions, and we found a collaborator, and we are piloting already today the use of an AI imaging system, whereby the car is scanned before the rental. Its condition is let's say, via image recognition assessed. The customer accepts that this is the image. They have their vacation, they have fun, they come back, we scan it again, and the difference is the damage that was done during the rental. And what is interesting in that is that you enable value for the customer, this transparency, this clarity, that nobody's out to, let's say, make an extra buck, but also value for the company, because now we know exactly the damages, we can assess properly, and we don't have any leakage through the damage claim process. So what we found is it's not a trade-off. If you find the right solution, everybody can win in the solution. And I think the other thing that we...
It's not a trade-off on part of the customers, but...
And the company either. So it's more profitable for us, and it's a better experience for the customer. So it's not a better experience in the customer for the trade-off for our profitability, or vice versa, right? It's everybody, those solutions do exist. And I think what is interesting also is that the building blocks are out there. We did not invent the AI imaging system. We did not even invent AI. We didn't do any of those things. What we did is we found a customer need, and then we looked for a solution that fits and adapted it to our operating model. And hopefully the pilot will be a success. We are launching it in Thessaloniki, and next year hopefully launched throughout our entire system.
So it's also an opportunity, but there is a little bit of serendipity, is there, in finding the right technology to scale?
Look, it's hard to find this technology that fits one-to-one. Yeah. And the other thing is that's why we are piloting, right? Yes. The technology makes intellectual sense, but we are not just launching it through our entire system. Mm-hmm. We're piloting, we're going to take feedback, we're going to see what happens, we're going to make any adjustments, and then we're going to launch. You can't just go all into the customer, because there might be some inherent bias or some problem in the system that we wouldn't know, and you can't manage that throughout the entire system. But you can manage it if you construct the right pilot, right? So having the mindset of understanding that is important for companies, and I think the ones that do will win, and the ones that won't will lag behind and eventually disappear.
Yeah, well, thank you. Vasilis Kafatos, who is the president of Deloitte Competence Center, and also he is a partner in Deloitte and is leading the Greece growth part. So, Vasilis, could we talk about the impact of technology, both on bigger business, on corporations, and on society? And maybe you can share with us some examples of your recent work that you have been trying to actually change, I think, parts of the city in Thessaloniki.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Milena. Thank you for the invitation. It's a great honor to be here today. It is true that over the last couple of years, we have been witnessing a very rapid adoption and growth of technologies that really transform the way we live, the way we work, and the way we interact amongst us. Lately, we have been witnessing geographical barriers becoming less relevant, and talent and knowledge becoming more global. We have been witnessing new models of people from all over the world with diverse skills, know-how, working seamlessly together, exchanging ideas and creating new products and services. Having that in mind, I would like to take you to a short journey that starts in 2017. 2017, Greece was in a severe economic crisis, huge unemployment, particularly amongst the youth, with increasing brain drain. We decided to start an innovation and competence tech hub in Thessaloniki in order to capitalize the abundance of talent in the city and satisfy the growing needs of tech resources of our Deloitte Global Network. COVID came, so that accelerated this initiative, and over the last 2.5 years, we have hired, trained, and employed more than 1,000 tech professionals in Thessaloniki who, from Thessaloniki, work in breakthrough projects in advanced technologies all over Europe. We have expanded that to other cities as well, close to universities. So we have expanded to hub-and-spoke offices in Iraklio, in Patra, and recently in Ioannina, in order to offer career prospects for talent all over Greece. We have focused a lot on education, on reskilling, on upskilling, on investing on talent, and even more importantly, on fostering collaboration with university, with research centers, with the municipalities, and also with other corporations that gradually have decided to locate in Thessaloniki, seeing the opportunity. So overall, this transformation, Milena, has created considerable socioeconomic impact for the city and the region, contributing billions to the local GDP, creating and sustaining tens of thousands of tech jobs, and most importantly, cultivating a new ecosystem that has the potential to transform the city, the region, and the country, I would say, into a global hub of talent, technology, and innovation.
Well, this is actually very good news, because we know that the Generation Z and also the younger generations, they like mobility and they don't want to be kept in one place. So maybe this is a good way to, on the one hand, keep the people closer to where they come from, but also allow them that mobility and experience. So thank you for that input. I would like now to turn to Professor Theodore Evgeniou, who is professor in technology management at INSEAD, and he's also a co-founder of TREMAU, and maybe bring the discussion a little bit on a bit of a philosophical level. Can we have looking back from now, from the future, retrospectively, to how this process started? Can you walk us through? And from that perspective, then give us where you see we're going, moving
How much time do I have, first of all?
You have 2 minutes.
First of all, thank you very much, Milena, and thank you for everybody for being here. It's a fascinating topic and a very important topic with huge consequences, not just for business, but also for society. And these days, I also tend to add in this sentence the word geopolitics, which is a big issue. The journey has been amazing, and of course, one can see it from the technology innovation point of view, but also from the business transformation point of view, industrial change, and competition of companies and nations. So it depends on what level you see it from. Let me start from the technology side. First of all, it's an amazing journey where, I remember back in the 90s, I'm sure many of us here, you have to do something technological, you will have to write down, in C++, the basic algorithm for doing some training of a machine learning algorithm. And then you had like packages, you had GitHub to see and share, you have cloud, and then you had black boxes, which are even pre-trained by large companies with huge amounts of data, and you can use it in your fingertips, literally. And now you have even AutoGPT, which can even build a whole business for you, business plan, which is incredible. So it's amazing where things are going, and it's both frightening and exciting in many ways. That's the journey, and going forward, we will see a lot more augmentation of human decision-making and organizations, and hopefully less, but I'm not as optimistic in that direction, I'm cautiously optimistic, hopefully less distraction. Distraction at the social level, we already see the distractions due to the internet, the other big technology of the past 30 years. To give you a statistic, about 70% of teenagers have been subject of cyberbullying in their lives. The fact that we don't know about this is just because they don't talk to us. That's a different problem. Now, on the enterprise side, we talk about digital transformation now, but we used to call a variation of this, which I still like better, frankly, back in the 90s, business process reengineering. I think that's a much better term in my view, because it focuses on the process, and business is nothing else but a bunch of processes, right? And you have to optimize the processes. In addition, of course, to practices, culture, governance, markets, strategy, and all that. But if you don't have process, no process, no business, kind of. No process is Banana Republic in a sense, right? So that's very important. So business process engineering has been around since the 90s, and then led to enterprise software, of course, and then later on customer relationship management systems. Eventually, all those systems that automated and supported processes from supply chain to customer relationship management to HR to knowledge management, these were different waves over the past 25 years, more or less, led to, at some point in the late, around 2010 or around there, the term big data, which like basically we woke up and we said, oh, we gather all this data, what do we call it? Let's call it big data, bad term also, because it's not about the size, about the information in the data, and eventually the decision making, because information is useless unless it affects some decision. This is a core theorem in information economics, decades old.
Information management, yeah.
Yeah, information management, yes, and economics also. Nobel Prize around this, actually, in economics. Yes. So, and then what do we do with the data? Well, we trained algorithms based on amazing mathematics, which nobody talks about. They are the reasons we are where we are, mathematicians. I keep repeating this because they are the most important people in human civilization. I cannot say enough about this. And the least underappreciated that, because without the math, we wouldn't be able to do any of these things, including clinical trials in the beginning of the 20th century, which was basically the beginning of the pharmaceutical industry due to scientific revolution, math, that led us to the amazing capabilities today to be able to build a vaccine for COVID within 24 hours, literally, not to design it. Then, of course, there's a whole process to approve and all this, right? So, and I always say that what happened to the pharmaceutical sector in the beginning of the 20th century because of the scientific revolution, which is nothing else but data and clinical trials, is kind of happening today across all other sectors because of data. Before the scientific revolution, the main way to treat people when they were sick was based, in the West at least, was based to a fantastic ancient Greek idea which is called bloodletting for centuries. After, it was science. So a question we have to ask is, which companies and which industries today are still in bloodletting? And I suspect the vast majority. And we are transitioning now to the scientific version, which is, we call it data and AI, usually called science, right? Supported by engineering and computing and cloud, and a lot of innovations, including quantum computing, as we had before, going forward to enhance productivity, efficiency of processes, innovation, human decision-making, automatic decision-making, And going forward, the key word, I think, will be a move from process to decisions.
It's actually becoming also a key word in the skills and in education. Because if you without the ability to make quick decisions and in fact to make
good decisions,
critically evaluate and make critical good decision, you cannot. Can we say that AI is one of these technologies, or deep tech is one of these technologies that are going to make a paradigm shift in society and in the industry?
Absolutely.
And what exactly will be that?
Absolutely. And it can go both directions, positive and negative, if we don't pay attention. I'll just quote the last sentence of a recent article of the ex-chairman of Google, Eric Schmidt, who wrote a book, which is important to remind everybody about, with Henry Kissinger. Think about why Henry Kissinger is writing about AI. And Daniel Huttelnocher from MIT on the age of AI. And the last sentence of this nice article in Foreign Affairs by Eric Schmidt 3 months ago or so was ending as follows: innovate or die. And he actually meant death in this case, but that's a different story. It can be business death.
Yes.
So we have to progress in a careful way, in a coordinated way globally, because we are facing, I keep going back to the word geopolitics. I'll give you a story. This is the most impressive story I can share with you. It was an eye-opener for me. Like 2 weeks ago, I was at Harvard Business School and was sitting next to somebody from China, who is the deputy dean of Tsinghua University, the alma mater of President Xi. And I asked him a question. Why did China ban ChatGPT? And my hypothesis was that because they have the firewall, they can control which websites they can ban, but they cannot control what ChatGPT will do. Therefore, propaganda and all that. What was his answer? We did not ban ChatGPT. OpenAI banned ChatGPT in China. I was shocked. And then we discussed and we both agreed that it could be either way. Because, for example, ChatGPT usage in China can lead to potential leakage of IP. Think about the semiconductors and the chip wars these days, more or less. It turns out I did some digging afterwards, and he's probably right. And I'm like, in what bubble are we living? So bubbles, because of information, which is controlled by recommender algorithms,
yes,
it's dangerous.
By the way, we've been talking that AI is going to come in the last 5 years, the threat of getting closer to Blade Runner type of experiences, okay? And I'm using these scenarios when I'm teaching. They're based on science fiction models. And it's interesting now to see that very quickly this became a reality. And I want to take your point about China. Recently, 3 days ago, I think, the Chinese president, Xi Jinping, encouraged companies to break technological barriers in China. And they said that they are relying on government providing, in fact, quite support for companies to innovate and to lead the role of China becoming one of the leaders, even supremacy, and create new opportunities and platforms for chip factories and for that competition. So now I would like to go to turn to Mr. Athanasios Kyriazis, who is the Secretary General for Research and Innovation at the Ministry of Digital Governance in Greece. And maybe to ask you, Mr. Kyriazis, how do you see the role of government and also of regulation, both in Greece, but maybe if you could give us also European perspective, in this global competition? And are we positioned? Where do we stand on this? Are there any measures that are being taken so that we can stay competitive, given what both China and the US are doing?
First of all, thank you very much for this presentation to be here. And I will continue from Mr. Theodore that, we believe that the innovation is the only way to sustainable development and the development of entrepreneurship. The second one is that the national strategy and action plan for the digital transformation of the Greek industry, and particular for the fourth industrial revolution, with the participation of the public sector, the industrial ecosystem and research and innovation bodies, is a basic condition for strengthening the innovation and the competitiveness of the Greek industry, and as well as the economic development of our country. In contribution of research and innovation to economic development is particularly positive. It has been estimated that an increase in research expenditure is a percentage of GDP of 0.2% leads to an increase in GDP of 1.1%. In Greece, there is a gap between the results of research from universities, research centers, and the market. This is a main gap, and so we like to close this gap, and the results of research, of the researchers, to go to economy, to development, and also to the market. This is our main plane. And for this reason, we gave many opportunities, not only to researchers, not only to the works in the universities, but everywhere. This is one of these. The second one is that we have very good researchers, and the results from programs, for example, Horizon program, which is the main program for research, the Greek researchers have very good results. This opportunity, and also the researchers who work out of Greece to come back. But in order to come back, we must give opportunities to work here, to give not only money or everything, but to give good reasons in work, and so we must go
motivation.
To this.
So increase
yes,
their motivation. Yeah.
These are some of these results. We have two pillars. Research and innovation. We like to take the ideas of new students and students for PhD students, everybody to have ideas, to take these ideas and to take this one in the market and take this one in the economy. This is our reason.
Second, yes. Yeah. So I understand that you see regulation as a critical factor in order to alleviate, to facilitate the technology transfer. The previous panel was talking about that. But within the context of Europe, there is, I don't know if you are aware, there is the new European Innovation Agenda. And one of its big focuses is building innovation valleys, and also talking about creating a critical mass of deep tech talent.
Yes.
So maybe you could say, where do you see Greece and also the role of what you're doing there? You're talking that you need to increase that motivation, but how do you do it? Is it through financial mechanisms or through other mechanisms as well? And then I want to ask also some of our panelists on that topic. Yeah.
The last years, we try to have the innovation, and first of all, in our General Secretariat, help with we had the Elevate Greece, which was a platform where we have all the startups in companies in Greece. Now we have about 550 such companies, and the second step is to give some tax for all or everything else. We gave about 40 million for these startups which are in this platform, and also we give opportunities to work and to have net, to give a net for other startups in all the world.
Okay, so bringing also the new players and all stakeholders in one space. I want to ask Paris, deep tech innovation is usually underestimated in the beginning. Yes. But it looks like this is the time, the moment has come for it now to start playing a bigger role, because we are de facto living in three different realia. We're living in physical, we have a digital life, wanting it or not, and then we have our own spiritual, other human life. So how do you bring those together? Where do you see the role of deep tech and
what I see, for example, is I don't think anybody here thought that Siri was going to take their job. Right, when you first started, you could barely.
And that Siri was so real.
Yeah,
right?
and you could barely get her to play the right song or call the right person. Then came Alexa, maybe a little bit better. Now with ChatGPT, I don't think that the discussion is clear anymore where these things are trending. And on top of which, ChatGPT is not the end of the story. It's just another step in what is an exponential technology, and probably another step change, and more step changes coming. Right, so. The way I see it is I think you need an ecosystem, right? So you need companies and researchers that do deep tech. Then you need companies that are closer to the customer. Yes. And all these things need to connect seamlessly. We, for example, have started another collaboration with a Greek company called Covariance that is in big data and analytics, a very impressive company that has sprung out straight out of university. And to be honest, when I first moved back to Greece, I could have never imagined that was possible. Like when I moved back to Greece, I did not imagine that a few years later we would be talking about collaborating with a Greek deep tech startup that was incubated out of a university. This felt at the time so far away from the reality.
Surrealistic in a way, right?
Yeah, and therefore I would say I'm very optimistic for Greece on that. I think what we've heard in the previous panel and before is real, it's happening, and it's accelerating.
Yes, great. I'm a very big believer in the deep tech because I think it's the next game changer, as you were saying. Since everything is complex, the reality is complex, and we cannot work, we need to start thinking multi-sectoral, multifunctional, diverse in everything we do in order to be able to embrace all of that complexity around us. I would like to actually finish with, again, another philosophical topic.
Well,
and take you, but also everyone, point of view on this. And where are we? Are we humans versus computers or the machines? I remember the movie RoboCop and how we all were excited, but then getting scared of it. Where are the risks of technology now that we should be aware of?
Yeah, thanks. Let me start by saying that there is one of my favorite quotes is the following: there is nothing more practical than a good theory. Economic theory, business theory, strategy theory. So philosophy is not philosophy, it's practical. I'll start from that.
Applied.
It's necessary, it's governance. There is no governance without values and mission, which is philosophy. And without governance, we will not manage the risks, neither the opportunities. So going to your risks, which require the governance, proper governance for that. First of all, geopolitical is one of them, but I'll leave it aside because it's a whole session by itself. But there are risks which are social risks, societal risks. I mentioned an example from the internet, and the internet is like, yes, it's fantastic, but also we kind of made a mess over there. So we have a lot of work to do. So there is a lot of risk regarding social impact, which is negative at all parts of society, not just minority discrimination, but also or non-inclusiveness of certain segments of the society, but actually everybody. And then there is, of course, risk around safety. There is risk around potential people left behind because of lack of skills and upskilling, which is not easy, right? So, but eventually, we have to kind of manage these risks with proper regulations, and Europe is kind of strong in this. Greece being part of Europe, I'm not very optimistic on Europe, by the way, there's a parenthesis. So therefore, Greece being part of it, you get the answer there. Regulations being part of them, governance being another part of them, part of that key, and of course, management processes and new tools and practices we develop to manage those risks.
Thank you. Yes. Madlen, what about you? Where are we in this process of humans versus computers? Which side are you taking?
I wouldn't see it as a versus right now. So
Good.
I think still we're at the point where we have to make sure that we know how to combine human eye with AI. And going back to upskilling and reskilling, I think this is one of the major challenges that we have to face right now. And it's a constant change, so we have to make sure that we find the right processes to embed the upskilling and reskilling, as we're talking about embedding technology for better decision making, to strengthening people that are doing a combination of human eye and AI. So.
Vasilis, what about you? Where do you actually started with this, with education? Is education a key to addressing technology advancement in a right way?
Education, for me, is the key. Talent is the most important resource in this age of, as we call it, the age of with. And I will totally agree that it's not machine versus human, but it's with, in order to enhance performance, in order to enter into a new stage where we'll be living in ways and working in ways which we could not have imagined yet. The second is the collaboration that you have mentioned. Innovation is produced when talented people work together. This is how innovation is produced. And the third point I would like to make is we need a change in mindset. We need to be more open to uncertainty, to embrace ambiguity, to move faster. And I will end with a quote, since I'm sitting next to the CEO of Motodynamics, from a former Formula One driver, Mario Andretti, who said, if everything seems under control, then most likely you're not going fast enough.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you also. I think we're finishing on an optimistic note, but we want to make sure that the mind shift, the mindset and the right thinking is there in order to empower AI to work for us and not before us. Thank you all.